I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I hope that this falls upon ears that are listening and not deaf ones. First and foremost, there's a lot to start with here, but first I'm going to speak on my own experiences. I've been cutting weight my whole career. I'm a huge 55er. I'm a guy that struggles with my weight cut every time. Even when I'm doing it right, it's always hard. Now, there is no benefit to having a later weigh-in. Think about this. Even for the guys that have missed weight, and then they use the excuse that, this screws me up because of, I'm used to sleeping in and I didn't get a good night's rest, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gets a good night's rest the day before weigh-ins. I've never met a fighter that is cutting weight, because most guys I talk to are smart and start their weight cut the day before weigh-ins, whether it's in the evening or in the morning. They start their weight cut the night before, get crummy sleep, and then you move on, you finish your cut. When we had afternoon weigh-ins, we only get, that's 2 extra hours, because we have to leave by 1 o'clock so we can be at the arena for 3 hours on weight before we have a ceremonial weigh-in.
That's a good point.
That makes no sense. So basically, you want to shift and change everything for a couple hours? Do you think that would have helped Mackenzie Dern? Do you think that would have helped Darren Till? Absolutely not. If you want to fix the freaking problem, pardon my language, you have to get rid of weight cutting. Period. Bar none. It doesn't matter what time you start it, what time you end it. It doesn't matter. I want 165 just as bad as the next guy. I want it just as bad as Kevin Lee.
Weight cutting, though.
That's exactly my point. No, aside from ONE FC, nobody's really made that motion to get rid of weight cutting. We could add weight classes. We could change the time of weigh-ins. That's not going to curb the problem. The problem is weight cutting.
So what do you walk around at?
Big. I would be a 170-pounder. If we had to do hydration testing and do things along the guidelines of ONE FC, I would not be competing at 155 pounds. And I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I look at the big picture. I look at myself, technique-wise, I'm confident. From a technique standpoint, I can beat anybody in the UFC in any weight class. But it gets to a point where size does make a difference. Stipe Miocic is really big, really skilled, with a lot of size and mass. Odds aren't my favor.
But right now you're under 185?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I woke up this morning. I was right at 185 this morning. But look at a guy like Darren Till. I'm not going up to 170 to fight a guy that cuts from 230. He was 98 kilograms the day before weigh-ins. That's on his Instagram. I could pull that up. That's a fact. He told a fan.
What is 98 kilograms?
That's 216 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. That's a problem. Do you think a couple hours would have made a difference?
No.
Let's also take into consideration, let's talk about the doubled number. When did USADA come into play? July of 2015.
Right.
So that gets rid of diuretics. Maybe that has a reason that there's an influx in guys missing weight in the 2-year window. The stat that Mike Bond put out is from June 6, 2014 to May 30th, 2016. That was before the new morning weigh-ins. June 30, they double the numbers, but USADA started testing July 1st, 2015, so now we get rid of IVs, we're getting rid of diuretics, we're cleaning things out. Now guys are starting to double in numbers. I mean, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. And the money that they lose, you lose money if a guy misses weight. You done a bunch of promotional things, guy misses weight, gets pulled from a fight, you lose money.
So what is no weigh-ins? Did you say no weight cutting at all, right?
I think that there's a way to just curb weight cutting in general.
How do you do that? I mean,
ONE FC seems to have their own system that involves a lot of hydration testing, periodic weight checks, a lot of things that don't seem unreasonable. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable. Like, how does California State Athletic Commission check fighters? I know that
I know Skype in video to see where they're at.
Okay, so we already have to do USADA whereabouts. What's the difference in having to do, you're in camp, we need a weight check, every week. Plus you got to take a hydration test. Let's say it's not USADA's job to see if we can make weight or not, but they're already coming to our door collecting our piss. You might as well just test it and see if we're hydrated to go with the number that we're sending you. What's it going to take? Do we have to wait for somebody to really croak? I'm not sitting here saying we need to add weight classes. That doesn't, as much as I like the idea of 165, that just doesn't fix the problem. And I want the problem fixed. I don't want to add more.
I think it helps fix the problem.
It helps fix the problem.
It doesn't fix it, but at least it's a step in that direction.
But I can see a lot of, I'm not going to name names. I know a lot of higher ups want the added weight classes. But there's certain people that don't, and I can understand why, and it's the legacy of the 170-pound division. That's one of the most, next to heavyweight, that's the most prestigious weight class in the UFC. George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes, you know, some of the best champions we've ever had came from 170. So adding 2 weight classes, that means you're just putting a stop to, you know, it's kind of like a legacy thing. I can respect that. So
they had 200 over and under.
Yeah.
They added 170 at one point, but
Yeah.
they basically did 205 for Tito Ortiz. You know, so they got past it being 200 and made it 205, and they started a new era. Let's not forget, this sport's going to live for another 75 years, and at some point in, 2093, someone's going to go, well, we've reached 100 years, and they're going to laugh at what we call right now the leather helmet area, and they're going to see a few things that we did. But for the benefit of going forward, I get that. I still believe 10 pounds, doing away with 70, creating 65 and 75. At the moment, we can say, hey, George was the greatest. Tyron would make his choice of whether he goes to 75 or 65, and we all just kind of move on. But I know we've done it in the past. I think we could all do it again.
Yeah, you know, and I, like I said, I like the idea of the weight class, but I'm not here to sit and advocate for why we should have weight class. I'm here to advocate we should not change what's already in place. We need to not change the
I'll tell you what.
We can't. This sport has a tendency to take away from the people that do it right.
Yes.
You find guys cutting corners, getting away with doing PEDs, getting a slap on the wrist, getting to go back, but that takes away from the guys that don't. The guys that, you know, are going about this the right way. Same with the weight cutting thing. Okay, so let's just change the rule and totally, you know, essentially screw over the people that when they sign on the dotted line, they go through the camp, they do the right thing. You know, you make weight, you do it right. We shouldn't have the rug ripped out from under us.